This podcast was not brought to you by the Age of Worms campaign setting. I really only wish we were that important. However, for one of an actually written out sponsorship joke, yeah, sometimes snags happen, I'm going to recommend that all of you go and check out the Age of Worms campaign setting, as well as its 5e conversion. Whenever your DM is not a titanic douchebag, it is a very enjoyable D&D campaign setting. This totally isn't just me hyping up the campaign I've been doing.
Hello and welcome to Monkey Broadcast, a monthly review and discussion show with me, the Jonin Monkey.
And me, Sven the Crusader.
And so, here we are in the month of June. A month where a lot of important things are happening. The World Cup, E3.
None of which are going to get their own MD special because we're not mad anymore.
Yeah, I don't know how I was able to edit it a week after E3 in the old days. I guess that was when I had more time on my hands, who knows?
Yeah, it was really sort of impressive, but we're still not doing it because, well, we value our voices and our sanity.
Yeah, plus, not only could I not get the review finished for last month's podcast, I still have an episode of Flip the Mic about WrestleMania that I'm still sitting on, so yeah. There's a reason why I don't react to current events on this podcast anymore.
Yeah, it sort of just works out better for us as a review show.
Yeah, indeed. So, with that said, we've got a fun review lined up for you this month, but first, it's time to get into our first section, which is...
Q&A!
This is the section where we answer questions from the audience. If you'd like us to answer your questions, either leave them in the comments or send them to me via Twitter with the hashtag MBQuestion. And considering 2 people are carrying this Q&A session this month, yeah, we could really do more questions. Just send them to us, please.
Yeah, the well is running kinda dry, and we really don't want to be scraping the barrel like that one Ailstorm song.
Who knows, by the time I've recorded this, our fans could have already pitched in and sent us plentiful questions, and this just seems like needless complaining. So, future me, please play us an appropriate sound effect to let us know what the status is. Well, that's lovely. Thank you, everyone. But for the meantime, on to the first question.
Our first question comes from IZ with a question that appeals to every part of my being.
If you guys ever got the chance to become legit voice actors, what sort of show would you want to be in?
Well, let me just put it like this. I would want to be in anything, so I would have an acting resume so I could end up on Critical Role.
So, basically a D&D streamer, then?
Yes, pretty much. Just in any project that would involve my voice being within the same airspace as that of Matt Mercer.
So, basically, either Dragon Ball Super or Fire Emblem at this point.
And given Fire Emblem's, sometimes dodgy pool of new talent, that seems like a fair option. Actually, that's gonna be my official non-critical role answer. Fire Emblem. Just Fire Emblem.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, in fairness to the pool of voice actors, it's not really that the voice actors are dodgy, it's that they're often given little to no context. I mean, especially in Fire Emblem Heroes, it's like, okay, you're called in to do this random princess from another kingdom. Didn't I do that last week? No, this one's from FE4. Right, okay.
Yeah, sort of on Intelligent Systems voice directors there.
In terms of what I would do, I guess if, since IC mentioned show specifically, honestly, it's a tough one, but I think I would want to say some kind of shonen anime, to be honest.
Oh yeah, so you could call out your attacks.
Damn it, he saw right through me.
This is what happens whenever you know a guy for 13 years.
Yeah, well, that would definitely be a cool factor of it. I mean, I'd definitely love to scream out something like Hadouken or Kamehameha, but also... just, even though it can sometimes be ludicrously over the top, just the sheer range of emotions you can go through, like some of them subtle, some of them just absolutely crazy. Like, I mentioned Dragon Ball Super both as the abandoned review and in this question, and just watching the ranges some of these actors go through is amazing. Like, James Masters is currently voicing a character named Zamasu, who's basically a god in training who unfortunately has gained the worst kind of god complex, and There's one scene which I freaking love, because there's a moment where the characters try to use a technique to, rather than defeat him, to seal him away in a jar. It makes sense in context, trust me. And it's also because at the start of the scene, he's acting incredibly cocky, almost like a Sephiroth thing of, oh yes, it looks like you're not trying to run away this time. This should be a much more interesting match. And then the technique activates, and he starts being sucked in. And he just ends up screaming at the top of his lungs in like a complete 180 when he's panicked. And like, it's literally from...
I gain nothing from defeating a mortal of your level. But if you insist... The power of mortals? Is that a joke? I'll show you what happens when worthless beings speak down to a god!
That is...
Wow, from Sephiroth to Broly with no stops in between.
Basically, yeah. That's the kind of thing I really enjoy getting into. Anyone who's seen me DMing in Curse of Strahd may notice that I do also like switching from personalities like you have the cold, calculated Strahd, and then you have some of the more over-the-top personalities, because I like switching back and forth between those big moments like that.
Sacre bleu. And then there's me. Basically, I think that I would just be happy in any role that lets me do a silly accent.
That is totally fair. I'm trying to think of what kind of roles do that these days. I think actually you'd have to go into Street Fighter if you want to do something like that. Or Overwatch, come to think of it.
Now there's a thought. Mind you, working for the company responsible for World of Warcraft does not appeal to me too much, but hey, Overwatch is good.
Yeah, well, admittedly, for some people that is the new crack, but, oh god, this is getting already on topic.
This line of thought has gone all sorts of interesting places today.
Indeed, so, I guess with that we should move on to the next question. Those are our answers, because, honestly, I think we'd even just go even more crazily off topic, or just randomly throwing out ideas. I mean, I guess some Western action cartoons would be fun, like maybe a Steven Universe, but I'm not sure if I could really sell cheap humor that some of the kids' cartoons do, to be honest.
That's fair.
Anyway, the second question from Infinity Zero reads,
What's a good way to hype up your villain, but make sure they live up to it at the same time?
Honestly, it's not really a straightforward answer we can give, because, well, there are a number of ways to do it. Like, for one, whatever you do not pull a Madara Uchiha. Never pull a Madara Uchiha.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I think probably the best way to go about it would actually be to start with the villain strong, but then build the hero up. So the villain always stays at the same level of power, but it's the hero that slowly has to catch up and to work to slowly close the gap. A lot of the villains that we've often derided for not working, such as Madara Uchiha, Aizen, and I've hinted at a certain Dragon Ball Super character.
Yeah, you have. I remember him.
Yeah, the problem is those villains just keep getting more and more and more and more powerful and just completely obliterating everyone around them with no effort. So, by contrast, the only way the hero can defeat them is to just pull something out of their ass, and it always feels incredibly unsatisfying because of it.
Yeah, that's really the big no for me. You could say the Mighty Nine for me. Oh,
God.
Basically, don't try to build them up through cartoonish means. Make them look legitimate, and then I guess just build the story around them.
That would make perfect sense. I mean, if, say, for example, like, Ichigo had been training against Aizen specifically, and he had been building up his variety of techniques in order to learn how to combat the likes of Aizen, then the Aizen arc might have been more tolerable. It's the fact that he essentially sits down for makes you a badass training, and then is able to just take down a demigod in the span of 10 minutes. That's when you're thinking, okay, this is just complete BS.
Yeah, exactly. So, no cartoons, and just build the hero towards something legitimate. Also, it always helps where you have a moment like the Black Knight from Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, where the heroes have been trudging along. This guy shows up, wrecks their and suddenly everything changes.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, that's actually, I think, more in line with the original intent of the question, thinking about it, because I mentioned how the hero defeating the villain can look credible, but in terms of actually hyping up the villain and making them legitimate, then yeah, having them completely shake the status quo and then make themselves the new goal to defeat, that is a good way to make the villain establish themselves and stay there, because otherwise, the worst examples of these happens in wrestling when a creative changes his mind, that they'll introduce someone as this big imposing threat of, no one can stop me, and then the popular character takes him out with a drawn, so he ends up looking like a chump being beaten consistently by him.
Yeah. Oh, God. You mentioned popular, and what I'm about to describe is a person who is the opposite of popular. Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman in the lead-up to WrestleMania 33. Oh, dear God.
Yeah, that was... Yeah, it's kind of that thing. If you're going to introduce a villain to shake up the status quo, keep it consistent. I don't care how infatuated you are with a hero, it's not gonna work. Like, actually, I've got a good example of this outside of wrestling, and some people might consider this spoilers because it's for a manga and the anime is still in production, but that said, the anime has become a meme and people have been making fun of it for a while. Said anime is Black Clover, and the current arc in the manga is against a guy named Least, who can best be summed up like this. I am Least, and my unstoppable magic will destroy the Clover Kingdom. Wait, you can't hold your own against me! Don't you know how that... How did you kill my generals as well? Son of a... Okay, that was a temporary setback, but this time, ow my ass! That was also a setback. But I'm in my ultimate form now, so let's try this again. And I am here to destroy the kingdom. Wow, that guy's a lot stronger than I thought he would be. Hold on, come back. I am Leash, and my master plan has come into order. Now everyone is under my Oh, God's sake, you two, will you go away? Why are you two rivals kicking my ass? This is my time. This is my time. Right, that's it. I am using an energy beam when we're cutting to black and you are saying you've knocked out. Just stay down, alright?
Oh, God, I legitimately want to see a series where the villain reacts to the overpowered heroes in exactly that manner.
In fact, actually, I will give you an example. If you want to see a comedic version of this play out, the Renegamers Final Fantasy VII and Brit, because the way they handle the final battle against Sephiroth for comedic effect is for when he appears in his one-winged angel form, they use Knights of the Rounds, like the instant game over button, and it's basically the entirety of the long attack animation. It's Sephiroth complaining,
What? Are you for real? This is our long-awaited showdown and you just phoned it in? Ow! Ooh! Who are you, sir? Lazy motherfucker!
Oh, God, I remember that. That was the funniest. So yeah, no making a legitimate skit out of your main antagonist.
Yeah.
I go back to the Eisen example because it wasn't just enough to make him an insufferable god mode cheating hack. We also had to have him be one-shotted by a bullshit power-up because we're Bleach.
Yeah, so I guess another way of putting it would be have your villains shake up the status quo, set themselves as a new target, and then have the hero actually work to defeat them instead of, one-hit bullshit.
That would make a great WWE chant. One-hit bullshit.
Actually, I was thinking more of something like an Arc System Works ending whenever you KO someone with a super. One hit bullshit!
Either one is good by me. Our last question from IZ reads, has there ever been a movie, game, or TV show that's gotten a physical reaction out of you? Crying, cheering, stressing, etc. Oh, boy. Yeah. I do believe I mentioned in the Fire Emblem 7 talk-through that a certain scene involving Ephdel and an assassin in Fire Emblem 7 got me physically raging. The brutal wrath of a 12-year-old. That sounded more intimidating in my head.
Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, video games are an easy way of drawing that out just because you're so much more involved in it. I mean, admittedly, I can only think of 2 examples of this off the top of my head, namely because I have this sort of really strange thing where I'm fully engaged with something, but the reaction is always internalized. I am deeply moved by something and on the verge of tears, but not actually, if that makes any kind of sense.
Actually, I get that, because never in any of the moments where I've been emotionally affected by a piece of media has anyone else been able to tell that's the reason that I'm in sort of an off mood.
Yeah.
Like, I remember April 9th, 2009. I was big into House MD then, and the episode No Explanation had just aired. And let me tell you something, that was a whammer of an episode. And that very same day, the chapter of Bleach was released where my favorite character was bullshitted out of the plot by Ichigo. So, I had a double whammy on April 9th, 2009.
Oh, wow.
And I wasn't a happy person, but I was able to hide why I was not a happy person.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I think I had, like, a similar thing after finishing the beginner's guide. The whammy that ending was, I was in a strange funk for about a day or so.
Yeah, so I've been on the verge of that, but because nobody else would understand my funk, I sort of try my best to conceal it. Unless it's 12-year-old me in response to Ephdel.
Indeed. In recent memory, there's only been a couple of times it slipped out. One was when I was much, much younger, and, it was, I'm actually embarrassed to admit this, because it's not a good movie, but Pokemon, the first movie. I think the reason it got me was that it hit one of my weaknesses. If you followed me on Twitter, some of you may notice that I've occasionally end up liking cute animal pictures, because screw you, I like animals and I like pets. But yeah, I think it might have been tied into that, because the scene that caused me to tear up as a child, it wasn't Ash's death. It's the moment after it when Pikachu, like, first tries to get Ash to move, and then just continuously tries to electrocute Ash to get any form of reaction out of him, like, just continuously going at the top inside, chew, chew, and then starts tearing up when it realizes it can't do anything. It's like, yeah, 12-year-old me just broke.
Yeah, emotionally baited by a yellow electric mouse in an anime that says its own name. I'm pretty sure that's happened to me a couple of times in Pokemon. And if we're looking for a couple more recent examples of this, I'll give you an example of something that almost broke me, because I have a feeling it's not going to be released for a while on account of editing backlogs. I'm in a campaign of Horde of the Dragon Queen. And, well, let's just say my character has gone through an ordeal recently. And, well, in mid-February, I wasn't having the most tremendously good time of things. There were a bunch of major life changes that were going on. I was afraid that I'd alienated people close to me. And then my character's arc paid off in the most satisfying way possible, and I had to deliver this awesome written out prayer by our good buddy MVL. Go check out his channel. And I could barely make it through it because a combination of life stress and seeing my character's arc come full circle after literal months of frustration was just, oh god, that nearly put me over the edge.
Aww. Like, I'm a part of that campaign, and that was a great moment, but yeah, I did not realize that. Oh, dude.
Now, if you want an example of cheering, I'm gonna get into this later. The ending of Mr. Mercedes Season 1. Oh, that last scene.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know you've been recommending that series for a while now.
Real quick, PSA. Someone, please release it on DVD. I'm begging. I'm desperate.
Oh, at the very least on Netflix.
Yeah, something, please. But, yeah, those are my two specific recent examples. Add those two apoplectic young Sven, and that's a nice rounded out 3.
My second example comes from a game I've been playing a lot of at the time of recording. The Switch version of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. And let's just say the harder levels had me cheering and punching the air when I finally completed them.
Oh, man. Donkey Kong Country 2 memories. Oh, those parrot levels.
Alright, our next question from Two Junkies. And now we move on to Two Junkies' final question, which is...
Will you ever learn to only ask for video game and anime questions?
Never!
Indeed. Honestly, truth be told, we do love the random divergence we can take during questions. If nothing else, it makes the show more entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, we live for the Toon Junkie section. Now literally, because you and IZ are the only people fueling the Q&A section.
Yes, and to repeat, as long as it's not pornographic or offensive, we will take any questions, even the insanely nonsensical. I mean, Two Junkies doing a great job, but it doesn't just have to be him, you know. He needs competition, you know, to put him on his toes and force him to step up his game a bit.
Yeah, otherwise we're gonna end up in a Bruno Sammartino situation with a reigning defending champion for 8,000 days. By the way, rest in peace, Bruno, you were great.
Indeed. But, moving swiftly on, we now get into our main section of this podcast, which is... Review! Huh, okay, sorry about this, Sven. I did have some audio recorded for a review, but it seems to be scrambled, and then I found this note in my desk that says, Hello, Jonin. Wah-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha. I have tampered with your review audio, and now I'm gonna make one last demand. Review this year's E3, or the kitten gets it, signed Richard the Dark Lord.
Clearly, this is just Speedy the salesman trying to pin it on Richard. No, it's Richard.
Could be either one. I mean, we haven't seen him for a while, but it looks like the audio's destroyed, and, well, we vowed never to do E3 again, but the kitten's life is on the line, Sven.
Way to blackmail me, you sick
Well... there's only one thing for it. If we're gonna have to cover E3, we're gonna do it on our terms.
Quickfire reviews! Gauntlet!
Yeah, Richard, in the future, set the terms before you make these deals.
Indeed.
Also, screw you.
For those who don't know, E3, or the Electronic... oh, God, what is it?
Electronic Entertainment Expo 2018.
Thank you! Basically, the big event where companies announce games, and gamers everywhere either get excited or pretend they don't really care about E3 and make snarky comments when secretly they're really, really excited. But anyway...
yeah, pretty much. It's like wrestling fans around WrestleMania time.
So, in the format of our Quickfire review section, reviewing everything in under 60 seconds, we're just gonna cover the titles that we're interested in or we feel like we have something to say. We're not going to cover everything, and if we haven't mentioned it, there's a good chance that we're not interested in it. That doesn't mean it's bad, we just have no plans to pick it up or look at it in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't our cup of tea. I mean, plenty of people are probably interested in Gears of War 5. Meanwhile, my reaction to the continuation of that series can best be summed up with this noise.
Indeed. Likewise, I'm personally not interested in Halo Infinite. As much as I kind of sort of like Master Chief, I'm not interested in the progression of that series at all, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, that's completely fair.
So, I guess I'll start this off with one that was kind of leaked before the show, and is a small one.
Tales of Vesperia HD. Yeah, I never played the original Tales of Vesperia because it's on the Xbox and I have no interest in picking up the Xbox, but the thing is, they announced it during the Microsoft conference and I was terrified that there was only going to be an Xbox One exclusive, but thankfully it's multi-platform, so I get the chance to play this game. Yay!
Yeah, I mean, a part of me really wishes for another original Tales entry, because it feels like Vesperia has been around for 200 years with how many times I've seen it come up. but I know that's probably an exaggeration.
It's kind of, yeah, this is the first time well, there was one remake of it, but in Namco's classic fashion, they remade it for the PlayStation 3 with new content that Xbox 360 owners didn't get, and they didn't localize it. So this is the first time that's happening.
Huh, I had no idea. Oh yeah, that was the one that came out on the 360.
Yeah.
And only the 360.
Yeah, that one.
Which explains why I never played it, because I gave up caring about the 360 approximately at the time I finished Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, so I'm glad that it's coming to multiple platforms, including PS4, including Steam, and including the Switch, so there's a lot of choice for us now.
Yeah. And on my side, I might as well cover the one series guaranteed to absolutely collect an ocean's worth of my gamer drool. Fallout 76.
Fallout 76, the MMO prequel to the main Fallout series, that in the opening trailer utilized the song Take Me Home Country Roads by John Denver. Let me just express why that excites me. Take Me Home Country Roads is a song from the 70s. I have been hoping and praying for Creedence Clearwater Revival in the Fallout games for years. Please, Bad Moon Rising.
So it's more the soundtrack that excites you rather than the MMO part.
I mean, if I could play it, I would, but when it comes to MMORPGs, I have all the attention span of a goldfish run by a bad AI.
I mean, in fairness, from what I can tell, parts of the MMO culture are like that. I mean, admittedly, the only basis I have for this is some comedy Johnny holding a wedding on there between two characters, and everyone else in the guild is basically spamming area of effect spells during the ceremony.
Wow. Okay. You do.
Which ended with the groom in this situation yelling, "I will fight all of you," so...
God. Man, that sounds like an American wedding.
So, yeah, I did see that trailer, and it was a good soundtrack choice, and I do kind of like the idea that it's all set in woodland. But, yeah, I didn't know much else about the game, and I'm gonna be honest, hearing that it's an MMO doesn't particularly excite me. The only other thing I've heard about it is that someone said, they gave players control of the nukes. Oh god, why would you give players control of the nukes?
And another thing that I know about it is that it is set in West Virginia, or as I like to call it, that part of America that is already living in the Fallout universe.
I'm not going to inquire.
Let's just say West Virginia is a little nuts.
Okay then, I will make a mental note never to go there, so...
Please do, you're liable to be stabbed by a drugged-out hillbilly, or in other words, a Fallout raider.
Okay, and moving on from that to an RPG I honestly wish I was a bit more excited about.
Anthem, the new latest IP from BioWare. Now, I would like to have faith in BioWare storytelling, but this trailer makes the whole concept seem incredibly generic. I mean, really? Giant mechs fighting against monsters? Really? That's the only thing you could think of for a groundbreaking new IP? Not to mention that there's barely any character in the trailer, so yeah, hopefully I'll have to see cutscenes, not gameplay, cutscenes in order to prove me wrong, but yeah, it's not looking that intriguing so far.
Especially whenever you consider that, according to what I've read about it, it's almost entirely multiplayer only.
Oh, of course it is.
Why BioWare? Why-O-Ware? Next up in the Bethesda saga...
The Elder Scrolls Blades and the Elder Scrolls 6. I'll just sum up the Elder Scrolls Blades by saying that it basically looks like the Elder Scrolls answer to Fallout Shelter, because of course they needed one. And as for the Elder Scrolls 6, number one, why would you not reveal more, Bethesda? This is legitimately probably your flagship franchise. Number two, I really just hope it's better than Skyrim. I mean, Skyrim is epic and it's a wonderful game to explore, but the NPCs had the personality of, well, a goldfish controlled by a bad AI.
Well, there were some guys with personality, like the shopkeeper who hated my existence, and the guards who told me to piss off.
And Ulfric Stormcloak, who just struck me as someone America would elect.
But yeah, in all seriousness, I get that they probably just want to say, yeah, we're working on it and it will be a thing if they don't have anything else besides that, but Yeah, like you, I'm just hoping that, like, Skyrim had potential. I just hope they do focus more on the personality of the world rather than just, you could do so many things.
Yeah, you can Fusroda someone off the top of a convenient mountainous spire. And to be fair, that is very fun, but I need more to my meal than just vanilla brioche.
And from one confusing metaphor to another,
Death Stranding, the brand new IP by Hideo Kojima. We finally get some more information about, well, what the hell the game is actually about, and we also get some shots of gameplay. Admittedly, it seems to be a strange cross between Breath of the Wild's survival horror game and stealth, which I know our buddy MVL Gaming is gonna have a hard time dealing with it because he likes survival horror but hates stealth games. But, that aside, it is kinda cool that we are getting a bit more information about our main character, Samuel, and what exactly he's fighting against, invisible ghosts that can time warp things, which is kind of interesting, and that we do have several Hollywood film stars in it. I just would like, some more information about what the stakes are and what the heck's going on, rather than just vague, ominous subtitles.
Yeah, and a promise that the conflict is basically just Daryl from The Walking Dead versus Hannibal Lecter.
that might be interesting. Who knows?
I mean, acting-wise, I'm happy, but, I mean, it's Kojima. Trying to predict a Kojima game is like trying to predict the weather in Wyoming. You will just end up tearing your hair out.
Yeah.
Whenever you're inevitably proven wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that he's not straight. Well, actually, I was about to say that he's not constrained by Konami. He could make it a bit more fun and hammy, but then again, this is Kojima. The last time he was given free reign, he made Metal Gear Solid 2, and oh boy, Metal Gear Solid 2 is a crazy time, my friend, let me tell you.
Oh yeah, the one revolving around Raiden.
Yeah.
I still remember the death battle where they explained his backstory, and I still know no more about Raiden than I did before I saw the death battle where they explained his backstory.
Oh, and it only gets better when you realize, oh wow, there is a massive, not really that subtle theme about conspiracy theories and internet communities on this.
Of course. Kojima!
Indeed.
And honestly, from Kojima, I'm just hoping going into this game that there will be considerably less conveniently bikini top-clad women. I mean, come on, Kojima.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, I'm hoping that hopefully this game won't have parasites, but yeah, let's move on. I still can't believe what the hell were you thinking with that explanation. Anyway,
speaking of parasites, the surprise entry that became not a surprise entry after Jonin mentioned it.
Huh?
Halo Infinite. Why? That's it, really.
Well, why this game was even a thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, Bungie, Microsoft, I loved Halo back in the days of Halo 3. But this horse is so dead, it has been risen as a zombie. Literally, it was risen as a zombie at around the point of Halo 4.
I can kind of understand why they'd want to do it, because it is, like, let's be honest, it's the closest thing Microsoft has to a flagship franchise on their system. That or Gran Turismo, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, true enough. They could technically claim Mass Effect because it was a huge Xbox Plus Microsoft franchise, but after Andromeda, I'm not sure if we'll see that one again.
Yeah.
Mass Effect Andromeda was basically like a really badly debuting NXT superstar. You see him once, they bury him, and you never see him again.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So, I get why they're trying to keep Halo alive, but still, why? It's better than Call of Duty. But that bar is literally on the floor. That bar is in the core of the Earth. It is exploring the mantle of the Earth, which no human being has ever dredged before.
That's better than what I was going to say, is that bar was buried by a coalition of South American countries that were determined to make sure it would never rise again. Yeah, after that, we better cheer ourselves up with a game we're definitely looking forward to.
Fire Emblem Three Houses, the Fire Emblem game for the Switch that had its debut trailer in E3. And it was a surprisingly mellow trailer. The reaction from Fire Emblem fans wasn't so much hype, it was initially, huh. And then there was a growing appreciation of it the more it's analysed. Because it's a kind of surprisingly melancholy trailer that sets up a kind of sort of Game of Thrones-esque conflict between three houses, each with a crest given to them by the gods, and an epic voiceover delivered by Christina V, who plays one of the lords, and it seems like there will be a player avatar, but they play the role of their mentor, which is kind of interesting, but yeah, it's an interesting trailer that takes some time to digest, but with its more serious tone and epic-looking story, yeah, I definitely want to pick this on up.
Also, it's Fire Emblem. It's Fire Emblem, man. We need more Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I know.
May I just point out that, to my tremendous relief, the outfits on certain characters seem to be getting slightly less fan servicey. Of course, I say that, but they've only revealed the Lord so far. I still expect I will probably be disappointed. But having said that, I'm hopeful.
That is true, and I think that's kind of what I was saying before about the whole melancholy nature of the game. It does seem like they're going the Echo/Path of Radiance route, or from what I'm told, some of the routes of Fire Emblem 4, where it's a lot more serious and a lot more grounded than it has been in the Awakening and Fate series.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm all for that. If only because, well, for one, it'll shut up all the obnoxious old-school fan brats that I hate, and for two, honestly, deep down I prefer that style of Fire Emblem game myself. I mean, I grew up on the old-school games. I love the tone of, 6 through 10. Well, I say 10. 10 was ridiculous. So 6 through 9.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, I think a lot of the old schooler fans have been really happy with how Echoes turned out. And yeah, I can honestly say I prefer that it's, just for my own taste, I prefer that it's gone back to the more serious style. Because, Fate and Awakening, they're definitely not bad games or bad stories, but the whole fan-servicey nature of them and the more simplistic storytelling kind of got grating after a while.
Yeah, basically, I'm looking forward to a potential evolution back from Fire Emblem Waifu Wars.
Yeah, although that side of the things is being catered for by Fire Emblem Heroes, admittedly, so...
True. That's not to say get rid of the romance system. I love the romance system. I am shipping trash, but... oh god, the waifu culture is just terrible. Speaking of long-running series, this one... well... this one quite a bit less well-received by me personally, and I'm sure also Jonin.
Oh, Kingdom Hearts 3. You know, I wonder where and why Kingdom Hearts went as wrong as it did. Because I remember a time whenever I loved it so dearly. The concept was so ridiculous, but as a Final Fantasy fan, I liked seeing these characters in a universe where they were being constantly brutalized by literally everything. And then Kingdom Hearts 1.5 came out, followed by Dream Drop Distance, followed by all of the expanded universe, and at this point, trying to understand Kingdom Hearts is like trying to understand the mind of Vince McMahon. So, I should be excited about this, and potentially the end of the main Kingdom Hearts series, but just... my brain hurts just thinking about it. So, I legitimately don't know how else to explain it beyond all my synapses.
Yeah, I mean, truth be told, from what I've read, I'm gonna have to try and look for this from an official source, so consider this citation needed. But apparently, after Kingdom Hearts 1, a friend of his told him, hey, you need to make the story more complex, otherwise people aren't going to be interested in it. And that led to the mess we've had from Kingdom Hearts 2 onwards, to be honest.
I'm thinking that maybe he took that advice a little too strongly.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, all of the games we've had and all the spin-offs beforehand have basically just been there to fill in plot points that no one cared about, to be honest. And, yeah, at this stage, I mean, to its credit, the two trailers actually did introduce the idea of cool arcs. I mean, at first I was kind of groaning when they brought in Frozen, because I thought, oh yeah, of course they would do that. But when they mentioned the premise of that world, i.e. the idea that Elsa could either be good or evil, depending on who manipulated her first, that actually made me go, oh, that's actually clever, and it does that really fit in with what Kingdom Hearts was initially about, which was trying to prevent people from losing their hearts and creating Heartless. But at the same time, the fact that Organization 13 is just suddenly back without any explanation, and the fact that we still have no idea what the main thrust of the stakes are, and on top of that, the fact that we have the big revelation in one trailer that Aqua has succumbed to the darkness and is attacking Mickey, makes you think, okay, one, you will not care about that unless you've seen Birth by Sleep. 2, what does that mean in the grand scheme of things? I mean, Aqua is basically trapped in the dark ocean, so... Oh no, someone's going crazy?
Yeah, like I said, to use another, probably more fitting analogy for this specific review, trying to understand the Kingdom Hearts lore at this point is like trying to understand the mind of Kojima.
Oh god, don't even... That's a twisted exercise in itself.
Yeah, in fact, at this point, I would just call Kingdom Hearts, as a franchise, essentially what would happen if you got Disney and Final Fantasy together and put the plot in the hands of Hideo Kojima and Stephen Moffat.
Oh god, no!
Needless to say, I'm not as hyped about Kingdom Hearts 3 as I should be, because at this point, I'm just confused. Also, as far as next in series games go, it's been 13 years.
Yeah, and it's, again, now we've had plot points from all the other 2 RPGs fitted in, and again, no one really cared about them at that point. We really didn't need another game to find out why Sora's Heartless looks like a completely different person. We did not need Ventus to exist. Let us move on from that. Now to bring in the title I know a lot of people are talking about.
Smash Bros. Ultimate. Yeah, as a pseudo-finale to the series, at least that's what Sakurai's been implying, this game looks pretty good. I mean, I will admit, it is kind of baffling that they want to bring back literally everyone that's ever been a Smash Bros. Character, especially when Toon Link kind of makes Young Link redundant, and I don't know anyone who is asking for Pichu, but it also has brought in stuff that I've actually wanted them to add to the Smash Bros. Series, like a new Final Smash for DK and English voice for Marth, so yeah, that is all really good. The only thing I'm slightly confused about going into this trailer is Echo Fighters. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the term, I'm just wondering what the hell the classification is, since it apparently only applies to Lucina, Dark Link, and Daisy. Like, you do realize you've created Echo Fighters before, as in Falco, Ganondorf, Dr. Mario, none of these guys are Echo Fighters, but Lucina is? What?
Yeah, honestly, as far as this game goes, I just hope they don't do another story mode, because of the last time they tried, oh good god.
Yeah, I think Sakurai is being scared off from that, but to be honest, this game's coming out in December, and it is basically just like a big definitive edition with all the characters and HD graphics and updates, and honestly, I don't really mind that too much. I mean, we're probably not going to get that many new fighters either. We've got Ridley, but they made it clear that the focus was just getting the band back together, so they're probably not going to introduce that many new fighters. There's probably going to be more Echo Fighters down the line, which I personally wouldn't mind if, say, Dixie was an Echo Fighter in Diddy or something like that, because, yeah, I think with over 70 characters, we could probably take a break now.
Yeah, we've hit peak crossover saturation. And it's, honestly, in terms of crossover saturation, it's fitting that we should follow up Kingdom Hearts 3 with this game, because, you know, I'm really trying to figure out what is the better idea, a crossover with a deep involved story as to how the crossed over characters got there, or the Smash Bros. Series, where it's a crossover that exists for the sake of a crossover.
Honestly, I prefer the first one. That's why I kind of like calling it Cross Zone, because to me, this might be a long rant for another day, but the reason why I'm very much okay with my favorites not being in Smash is that I'm slowly realizing that these Smash Bros. Versions of characters are becoming like the abridged versions of anime characters, in that they have elements of the original, but there's so many variations that it actually starts to irritate you if they cross over too much.
I get what you mean. Basically, they're characters of themselves.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, the Smash version of Captain Falcon is a meme at this point.
Yeah, but I could barely even tell you what the original Captain Falcon was supposed to be like.
Yeah, unfortunately. Okay, I've got one more to do before we wrap up here.
Cyberpunk 2017, a first-person RPG set in, surprisingly, a film noir universe. I'm kidding, of course it's Cyberpunk, but yeah, not entirely sure what the gameplay is so far, but it's apparently going to be kind of like a Vampire Masquerade thing, where you're dropped into this mysterious cyberpunk universe and you take on missions, and the trailer did a great job on selling me the premise of the world, and yeah, I will be keeping my eye on this one since let's just say the idea of being a cyborg wandering around a futuristic city sounds really, really cool.
Yeah, sometimes the simplest, most basically appealing concepts are best. I mean, pretty much the only way they could get me more into a punk game is if it was Steampunk 2017.
And now to finish off, I'm just gonna go through a list of honorable mentions, so here we go.
Last of Us Part 2. I would be interested in it, but I still need to play the first game. And honestly, the trailer kind of felt a bit jarring that we suddenly went from the sweet lesbian scene to violent, long stretch of gameplay, as if anyone's going to be convinced to buy a game just because we've seen footage that confirms that, yes, you will be fighting through mobs of enemies, as if that was ever in question. Following that, we have the Ghost of Tsukushima, which, again, I get it, guys, I get it. You want to have a long stream of gameplay to prove that, yes, it's not just cutscenes, but really, dude, no one is going to be that interested in watching 10 minutes of a Let's Play without commentary, no matter how pretty the game looks. Control Remedy, the protagonist looks cool, the world looks cool, gonna need to see more of it. Starlink, it's a Toys Brought to Life game, and it now has Knox McCloud in it. The reveal trailer is kinda cool, not sure if I'm actually interested in picking the game up. Spider-Man PS4. Insert rant about long stretches of gameplay, although I did like the really cheesy cliche of playing a cutscene of where the mastermind reveals himself, having Spider-Man go, "Oh my god, you?" and then cutting it. That was hilarious. Happy to know that Dragon Ball FighterZ is going to be coming to the Switch, and I probably am never going to pick this up, but I do think it's kind of cool that Final Fantasy XIV and Monster Hunter are having a crossover. Just because I like seeing goofy crossovers, even if I have no intention of playing any game in either series.
Fair enough.
I don't know, I just find it kind of goofy, and I'm happy for anyone who does play Final Fantasy XIV, but anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, I liked Final Fantasy XIV. It was the first Final Fantasy I liked in years and years, but it's an MMORPG, attention span of a goldfish directed by a bad AI.
Well, if you do ever plan to pick it up, you'll be able to fight creatures from Monster Hunter soon, so, yay?
I mean, that could be fun.
Indeed. I mean, honestly, that sentence kind of seems to sum up the whole E3 experience, really.
Actually, yes.
If it's not incredibly hyped, it's more of a cautious, yeah, that could be fun. I mean, I probably have to learn more about it, but it could be fun.
And then, of course, there's The Elder Scrolls 6, which, of course, is guaranteed to be fun in terms of gameplay, but if it makes any sense at all as a storytelling experience, I will be amazed.
Yeah. But honestly, whilst it's easy to get cynical by saying, oh, it's just a bunch of trailers and awkward conferences, I honestly do enjoy the experience of E3, even if it's just stirring up some positive curiosity, like, oh, that's what they're doing. I will happily take that over, well, frankly, the continuous sea of cynicism, narcissism, and nihilism that the internet seems to consist of these days.
Oh, God. Mood.
So yeah, I am always happy for E3's existence, and again, I'll gladly take the little bit of optimism it has given me from seeing all of these games. Probably not going to do it again unless we're somehow cursed. I don't know what has happened this month between technical issues, having a lot of freelance work, and super-villains kidnapping kittens. You better release it, you bastard.
Do not make me sick my German Braun Strowman reference on you. That was a rare phrase.
Indeed, and it's not going to make sense to anyone, but... On that baffling note, that ends this month's Monkey podcast. I've been the Jonin Monkey.
And I've been Sven the Crusader. Go ahead and wrap your brains around that goldfish, folks.
That was Monkey Broadcast, a monthly review and discussion show hosted by the Jonin Monkey and Sven the Crusader. If you feel that you've been the subject of slander or that your copyright has been misused, please PM me and I'll try and get round to fixing it as soon as possible. We also welcome any comments, be it feedback or your own viewpoints on any of the things we've discussed. Until next month, have fun, kids!